Hi, this is Jaya. In this video, we shall see the summary of Subjection of Women, an essay by John Stuart Mill and Harriet Taylor Mill. This essay was written by the philosopher, political economist and civil servant John Stuart Mill in 1869, and this he wrote along with his wife Harriet Taylor Mill. He submitted the finished manuscript after his collaborative work on liberty soon after her untimely death in late 1858, and then he continued work on the subjugation of women until its completion in 1861. And actually, at the time of its publication, the essay's argument for equality between the sexes was actually an affront to European controversial norms regarding the status of men and women. In his autobiography, Mill actually tells about his indebtedness to his wife and his daughter, Helen Taylor, for the writing and creation of the Subjection of the Women. Some of the arguments which he has mentioned here are similar to Harriet Taylor Mill's essay, The Enfranchisement of Women, which was published in 1851. Mill was convinced that the moral and intellectual advancement of humankind would result in greater happiness for everybody. He asserted that the higher pleasures of the intellect yielded far greater happiness than the lower pressure of the senses. He conceived of human beings as morally and intellectually capable of being educated and civilized. Mill believed everyone should have the right to vote, with the only exceptions being barbarians and uneducated people. Mill argues that people should be able to vote to defend their own rights and to learn to stand on their 2 feet morally and intellectually. This argument is applied to both men and women. Mill often used his position as a member of parliament to demand the vote for women, a controversial position for the time. In Mill's time, a woman was generally subject to the whims of a husband or father due to social norms which said women were both physically and mentally less able than men and therefore needed to be taken care of. Contributing to this view were both hierarchical religious views of men and women within the family and social theories based on biological determinism. The archetype of the ideal woman as mother, wife, and homemaker was a powerful idea in the 19th century society. Mill recognized that he was going against the common views of society and was aware that he would be forced to back up his claims persistently. Mill argued that the inequality of women was a relic from the past when might was right, but it had no place in the modern world. Mill saw that having effectively half the human race unable to contribute to society outside of the home was a hindrance to human development. Mill attacks the argument that women are normally worse at some times than men and should therefore be discouraged or forbidden from doing them. He says that we simply don't know what women are capable of because we have never let them try. One cannot make an authoritative statement without evidence. We cannot stop women from trying things because they might not be able to do them. An argument based on speculative physiology is just that, speculation. In this, men are contradicting themselves because they say women cannot do an activity and want to stop them from doing it. Here, Mill suggests that men are admitting that women are capable of doing the activity, but that men do not want them to do so. Mill suggests we should test out what women can and can't do as experiment. Women are brought up to act as if they were weak, emotional, docile, a traditional prejudice. If we tried equality, we should see that there were benefits for individual women. They would be free of the unhappiness of being told what to do by men, and they would be benefits of society at large. It would double the mass of mental faculties available for the higher service of humanity. The ideas and potential of half the population would be liberated, producing a great effect on human development. Mill's essay is clearly utilitarian in nature on 3 counts: the immediate greater good, the enrichment of society, and individual development. If society really wanted to discover what is truly natural in gender relations, it should establish a free market for all the services women perform, ensuring a fair economic return for their contributions to the general welfare. Only then would their practical choices be likely to reflect their genuine interest and abilities. Mill felt that the emancipation and education of women would have positive benefits for men also. The stimulus of female competition and companionship of equally educated persons would result in the greater intellectual development of all. He stressed the insidious effects of the constant companionship of an uneducated wife or husband. Mill felt that men and women married to follow customs and that the relationship between them was a purely domestic one. By emancipating women, they would be better able to connect on an intellectual level with their husbands, thereby improving relationships. Mill attacks marriage laws, which he likens to the slavery of women. He alludes to the subjection of women becoming redundant as slavery did before it. He also argues for the need for reforms of marriage legislation, whereby it is reduced to a business agreement, placing no restrictions on either party. Among these proposals are the changing of inheritance laws to allow women to keep their own property and allowing women to work outside the home, gaining independent financial stability. Again, the issue of women's suffrage is raised. Women make half of the population. Thus, they also have a right to vote since political policies affect women too. He theorizes that most men will vote for those MPs who will subordinate women. Therefore, women must be allowed to vote to protect their own interest. Mill felt that even in societies as unequal as England and Europe, that one could already find evidence that when given a chance, women could excel. He pointed to such English queens as Elizabeth I or Victoria or the French patriot Joan of Arc. If given the chance, women would excel in other arenas and they should be given the opportunity to try. Mill actively campaigned for women's rights as an MP and was the president of the National Society for Women's Suffrage. Mill was seen as an inconsistent philosopher, writing on a number of separate issues. Consistency in his approach is based on utilitarianism and the good of society. Nothing should be ruled out because it is just wrong or because no one has done it in the past. When we are considering our policies, we should seek the greatest happiness of the greatest number. This leads to attack on conventional views. If you wish to make something illegal, you need to prove what harm is being done. Individuals know their own interests best. The greatest good is understood in a very broad sense to be the moral and intellectual developments of society. Different societies are at different stages of development of civilization. Different solutions may be required from them. What matters is how we encourage them to advance further. We can say the same for individuals. Mill has a quite specific idea of individual progress, employing higher faculties, moral development, with people placing narrow self-interest between them. We are independent, capable of change and of being rational. Individual liberty provides the best route to moral development. As we develop, we are able to govern ourselves, make our own decisions, and not to be dependent on what anyone else tells us to do. Democracy is a form of self-dependence. This means personal liberty. As long as we do not harm others, we should be able to express our own natures and experiment with our lives. Liberty to govern our own affairs. Civilized people are increasingly able to make their own decisions and protect their own rights. Representative government is also a useful way of getting us to think about the common good. Liberty for women as well as men. All of Mill's arguments apply to both men and women. Previous ideas about the different natures of men and women have never been properly tested. Women can participate in determining their own affairs too. This is a short summary of what he has written. If you have anything more to add on to what I've said, please write it in the comment box. Like the video, share it with your friends, and if you have not subscribed my channel, please subscribe and support. Thank you.